So in this video I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the hole tool to do things like just normal holes, threaded holes, things like that. Just like we talked about in Inventor, one of the things you're going to want to do is to start off with a sketch that just has some points in it. So I'm going to look through here. Sketch 3, I went ahead and just put these points in, and you'll notice that I've dimensioned those points so they're black. And so I know they're fully constrained. That's a really important thing. You want to have those points on there constrained before you start your hole tool, just so that your holes are exactly where you want them. So the hole tool in Onshape is right here. You go ahead and click on that. Now there's lots and lots of options in here, and one of the things we want to do is make sure we're starting from sketch plane. That's just going to let us select those points. So when I select the points, it goes ahead and selects them for me. Now I've got a lot of options here. I've got a simple hole, which is just like it says, a simple hole, nothing complicated. I've got options for a counter bore hole. These are the ones that have like the space for a bolt head in them. And I've also got options for a counter sink hole, which is kind of like the angled one. We've talked about all of those in Inventor, but those are your three options there. This one I'm just going to do a simple hole. Now next up, this is a blind hole, which just means that it doesn't go all the way through the part. You could of course select through if you wanted to go all the way through. And then this is one place where Inventor is a little bit different, and Onshape I think is actually a little bit easier. Your standard here. If you want to use a threaded hole, you're just going to select one of these standards. Now, for the most part, if you're using inches, you're going to use ANSI. Can't remember what that exactly stands for. But that's what it would be if you see something like 1/4-20 or 5/16-8 or 10/32. Those are standard US inches. You're using ANSI. If you see something like M5 or M10, that's a metric, and you're going to be using ISO or ISO. So I'm going to actually let me show you ISO first. If you select these sizes, you're going to see which different size bolt you'd have. So if you saw an M8 or an M12 or something like that, you just pick those. Then you also have options for clearance, drilled, or tapped. And so you'll have the same options under ANSI here. So the next option you have is either selecting that clearance, tapped, or drilled. If you want a bolt to be able to fit through without touching anything, you'd select clearance. If you want to include the threads, you're going to select, I believe, tapped, and then drilled is just going to give you an option for a drill size. So we're probably not going to use that one. If it tells you something like 1/4-20, and looking at my train model here, I don't know how it opened up, I think it crashed on me. Looking at my train model, this one's supposed to be a 1/4-20. So I'm going to go with a tapped hole. And actually, for some reason, it looked like it just selected the correct size automatically. So you can select the correct size of your bolt. These smaller ones are all smaller than 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch, you've got options here. They're only going to give you certain options because for a 1/4 inch bolt, ANSI only allows you certain thread options. So I want 20. And then this part here, leave it alone. That's a little more advanced than you want to get messing with right now. Now, down here you're going to see a few options. The hole diameter, this one has actually been set by the size of the bolt you're picking. So if I go and pick a number 12 or a number 6 or something like that, diameter should change once I have everything set up. Yep, there we go. So the diameter changes along with that. So if I go back and select 1/4 inch again, 20 TPI, you'll see it goes and it changes automatically for me. The depth is something that you need to enter. So I want the depth to be 0.875. That's correct for mine. And then this is how deep the threads actually go. So typically the threads cannot go all the way to the bottom of the hole. It's going to pretty much set those for you automatically. So set this depth that you want the hole to go, and it'll set the threads just for you like that. And then since we've selected everything we need, and we're just able to hit the checkbox, and we have some threaded holes. Now, unlike Inventor, it doesn't actually show a picture of those threads. When we go to do our dimensioning later on, it still has that information, so it knows that it should be threaded, and I'll show you how to add those thread notes when we get to the dimensioning part.